What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. Can Congress get their act together? Well, not yet. It's crazy what's going on here right now. Let's jump right in, and I'll catch you up to date here. Thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. Here we go. Congress is voting here yet again on speakership of the House, as Republicans and Democrats can still not yet agree. Republicans themselves cannot even agree amongst themselves on who will be the speaker. Yeah, you can see here, it's just kind of unreal. You guys let me know your thoughts here on this. Although Kevin McCarthy might be getting closer to a deal on becoming speaker. In fact, here's what Matt Gaetz has to say and why they're doing this. They're actually talking with Democrats. Here's what he has to say. Take a listen to this.
All right, joining me now, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who has voted 11 times for candidates other than McCarthy. Congressman, great to see you tonight. I love seeing you, by the way, with Congresswoman Jayapal. What were you talking about there? I love seeing that video. Any scoop you can give us? That was funny. Well, I'm like, what are they talking about?
My conversations with Democrats have largely been about making sure that they don't leave the floor for dinner or fundraisers or whatnot. We need them to stay there so that the denominator in the equation on the election of a speaker allows us to have leverage to push for many of the things we've been discussing on the budget, on term limits, on the order of the House of Representatives. So committee assignments and chairmanships aren't bought and sold based on who's able to redistribute the most lobbyist money, while the American people are often left behind in a corrupt, broken system in Congress.
Yeah, I think that your point about rushing off to events with consultants or fundraisers is important. I saw there was a fundraising email sent out by Andy Biggs, who's one of the other individuals, of course, opposing McCarthy. And he sent a fundraiser out as the action was happening on the floor, saying, we blocked Kevin McCarthy from becoming Speaker of the House, but now we conservatives must lead the fight to get the leadership we deserve. Congressman Gaetz, is that the right, we love Congressman Biggs, but is that the right approach, given your message about don't run out to the fundraisers?
Well, I wanted to make sure people stayed on the floor. I've sent out similar emails, and the reason is because pro-McCarthy groups have actually been running robocalls in our districts trying to pressure us and leverage us. So yes, when you have Kevin McCarthy utilizing his extensive political resources to battle against House conservatives, we want the great patriots all throughout this land to go to mattgaetz.com, chip in, so that I can fight back and get a message out about the great things that we are working to achieve. And it is not the end of the world that we take a few extra days or maybe even a couple weeks to sort this out. I mean, Laura, you know this. There are some days in Congress where the only thing we vote on is the changing of the name of one post office. Now we're deciding who's second in line to the presidency, and the construct of these rules concessions functionally turn the speakership into a ceremonial position. Matter of fact, if my colleagues get what they want from McCarthy, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus will actually be more important than the Speaker of the House in determining the legislation that reaches the floor, how amendments are processed, and how spending occurs going forward.
Yeah, I get what you're, on the establishment issues, I'm totally with you, okay? But I'm always also about the art of the possible, what's possible here. So you did get a number of concessions that I'm not sure if I were on the other side I would have given you, but a number of concessions from McCarthy, an attempt to get to 218. So he lowered the threshold of the votes required to begin the process of removing himself as Speaker. Just one person, one member of the conference can do it now. And to keep, he also agreed to keep his own PAC out of GOP primaries and also to add more Freedom Caucus members to the House Rules Committee. And I understand he also signed on to a separate approval process for earmarks and allowed floor votes on term limits for members in specific border policy legislation. What else do you require that he do or agree to before Matt Gaetz will say, okay, I'm on board?
I wouldn't be betting on my vote for Kevin McCarthy under almost any circumstance. But it's important to note that all of those
So
bullet
it's
points you
personal
just
then.
presented.
Wait,
Congressman,
hold on. Wait, that's personal then. You
No, no,
just
no.
made this very principled point. No. You can't have it both ways. You can't say I'm a man of principle and I believe in X, Y, and Z, but if he gives me X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to vote for him. What?
Well,
how does that make sense?
Here's how it makes sense, Laura. Kevin McCarthy is the masthead of the lobby corps. And I resent the extent to which Kevin McCarthy utilizes the lobbyists and the special interests to be able to dictate how political decisions are made, how policy decisions are made, and how leadership decisions are made. Kevin McCarthy has been in the leadership for 14 years, and he has sold shares of himself to special interests, to political action committees, and so that's why I don't think he is an appropriate choice. He also has no ideology. What's that?
Why is Trump? Why? I mean, you are very close.
Well, I mean,
to
look, I love
President.
Yes, I.
So
why
is Trump for him? I mean, how many posts on Truth Social can we see from President Trump telling y'all, okay, this has been fun, but let's wrap it up here?
Well, I love President Trump. I love President Trump. I defended him a great deal in Congress, but HR wasn't always his strong suit. You know, President Trump got us folks like Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr and Jim Mattis and Mark Esper, people who didn't always advance America First policy. So while I think Trump has the vision, I do. I think President Trump is wrong to the extent that he supports Kevin McCarthy. I'm going to support President Trump when he runs for re-election in 2024, but I'm not going to back him on this play. So look, if we are able to get these rules
Are you going to be okay, Congressman? Will you be okay then if there's ultimately a deal struck with moderate Democrats that give Democrats kind of co-control of the committees? You're fine with that?
No, absolutely not. That will not happen. There are two potential scenarios here. No, listen, I'm on the floor, Laura. These 212 Democrats are going to vote for Hakeem Jeffries every single time. He is a historic candidate for them. They are not going to cleave off under any circumstance. I assure you that if Democrats join up to elect a moderate Republican, I will resign from the House of Representatives. That is how certain I am. I can assure your viewers that won't happen.
Are you for Scalise? Is Steve Scalise okay for you or no? Steve Scalise, no?
Well, that depends on if he would accept these rules that we've spent a lot of time on. So we'd have to have that discussion with Steve Scalise. So far, Steve Scalise hasn't indicated that he would run. I would far prefer Jim Jordan. And if Kevin McCarthy pulls out of the race, I do expect Jim Jordan to mount a campaign. Oh, well, he isn't running yet. If Kevin McCarthy got out of this race and Jim Jordan would get into it, that's my belief, and I believe Jim Jordan would win. I think he would invigorate our movement. I think he's broadly trusted in every corner of the Republican Party and with a lot of our donors and supporters and activists. That's the type of option if Kevin McCarthy bows out. If Kevin McCarthy doesn't bow out, then he will have to live the entirety of his speakership in a straitjacket constructed by these rules that we're working on now.
So you prefer a speaker with a straitjacket than one who you believe is just a spenderama, right?
Well, I prefer a straitjacket if it's Kevin McCarthy. If it was a Jim Jordan, we certainly wouldn't need that because we trust Jim Jordan. We have zero trust in Kevin McCarthy, and there's just a large body of work to evaluate. His continuous voting for big spending bills, his support of amnesty in the past, his refusal to join us in trying to break up big tech.
Well, that's most Republicans.
This is someone whose like compass is like a wet finger in the wind.
Yeah, so you can see here the Republican Party is very divided. Of course, that's just one man's opinion, but Matt Gaetz. But we are seeing this along a lot of fronts in the Republican Party. We've seen this with Mitch McConnell and former President Donald Trump, two large figureheads of the Republican Party. They've been fighting for years. Mitch McConnell is the longest leader in the Senate ever by a Senate leader, a minority leader or a leader of a party. And we're just the Republican Party's kind of been divided for a while here. Will Kevin McCarthy become the leader? Will they make concessions for him, or will they divide off? You also heard him say there that he thinks Kevin McCarthy, who's been, a kind of a leader here for several years, has kind of sold off to special interests. I don't know. At least that's his opinion. What do you think? Yeah, so a lot of people accuse a lot of people in Congress, Republicans and Democrats, of kind of that's one way they become rich. We've looked at the Nancy Pelosi's and the Mitch McConnells, and a lot of people in Congress that they have a salary of like 200,000, or it varies by their position and stuff like that in Congress, which is a lot. But when they come out of Congress, they're worth like 50 million, $100 million. That's way, way above what $200,000 a year is. You think about 5 years in Congress would be $1 million. That's nowhere close to getting worth 50 million or 100 million. Yeah, so yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. They're also talking about term limits in Congress, something that the American people have wanted for a long, long time, but has never been able to materialize because Congress has to vote on it. Congress themselves has to basically vote themselves out. Isn't that ironic? So they would have to vote on term limits on themselves. Yeah, so think about that. They would have to limit themselves to not be able to stay in there. Something that the American people have wanted, but has not happened. Yeah, so another kind of big thing that kind of has popped up a couple times but has not happened is them being able to bet on stocks. Yeah, so a lot of people think that this should be illegal, insider trading, that they shouldn't be able to allowed to do that, and yet they're still allowed to do that there as well. What they simply could do is just make it so they could only own stock index funds and ETF funds, which is basically like owning, like the S&P 500 index, or like a total stock fund where they don't own individual stocks. So like if they own the S&P 500, it's basically just a fraction of the total market. You own the S&P 500, you own one share of all the top 500 stocks in the United States. You can't buy and sell with insider information on a pharmaceutical company, or a vaccine company, or a big defense company, right before you get insider information on money going to Ukraine, or vaccines, or anything along those lines. And a lot of people question, like, is this how they get rich? Is this how this, that, or something else happens? Also, the Democrats are already worried about potentially losing the Senate next time around. This is because, remember that this time when the Senate was up, remember, only about a third of senators are up for re-election each time. And well, there was a couple things in their favor this time that won't be in their favor next time. First up, if you remember here, the vast majority of people that were up for re-election this time around in the Senate were Republicans. So that worked in Democrats' favor because all those Republicans had to keep their seats. And actually, one of the Republicans lost their seats. Okay, so that probably won't be the case next time around. I haven't done the math or seen all the things here, but probably won't be the case for the Democrats next time around. Also, longtime Democratic Senator Debbie Stabenow won't seek re-election in 2024. So this will be a big loss for the Democrats. Now, they may retain the seat, they may not with a new senator, but she's been a long time kind of stalwart for them. I remember watching a movie about them. It was kind of a while ago, about government conspiracy theory over the military, and she's kind of been there for a long time there, and so now they have a very vulnerable seat up for re-election there in the next re-election seat. Also, Joe Manchin will be up for re-election, and Kyrsten Sinema, both Democratic seats. Well, Kyrsten Sinema is now an independent, but she's voted with the Democrats pretty much every single vote. So has Joe Manchin. Even though they might not seem like Democrats, they have typically voted with the Democrats, and both their seats very, very vulnerable. Also, remember here that the President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be up for re-election next time around as well. And if they lose, they won't have the tiebreaker vote as well also. So remember that last time around we had a 50-50 Senate, and the tiebreaker went to the Vice President of the United States. So now we have a 51-49 Senate. So the Senate's been very, very close. And well, that could change as well if the president isn't a Democrat next time around. So there's really a lot of things in play with seeing how closely divided our country is. Basically, we have a country that's 50% Republicans and 50% Democrats for the most part. So right now the Senate is 51 Democrats and 49 Republicans. The House is slightly more Republicans than Democrats. So again, you can see we're basically a country of about 50-50. And again, we have a lot of people that consider themselves kind of independent or realist or independent thinkers, but that's kind of how I consider myself. I consider myself, a realist. When I look at like border issues, like, yeah, I don't think that people should come across the border illegally. I don't think people should just be able to run across the border and say, hey, welcome to America. I don't think that should happen. I just look at things realistically and say, I don't look at it as a Democrat or Republican, a red or white or blue issue. I just don't see things in polarizing colors like that. Just look at it as a realist. And I don't go down a ballot. I don't look and I don't just check off Democrat, 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 or Republican, 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 Republican. I try to look at each candidate and see actually what they talk about and how they think and what they speak about. You know, that's just how I am. Of course, a lot of people are not like that. A lot of people either vote Democrat or vote Republican their whole lives. And that's totally okay too. But I think a lot of people are starting to look at things differently. But the weird thing is that even in this last election, we had basically 95% of Congress reelected. So, we always see a lot of people want change. Congress had a 12% approval rating here. But yeah, 95% of them were reelected. So you guys let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel, and I'll let you guys know the truth of what's going on here on a daily basis. Thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. And if you haven't yet, make sure to watch my new video here on Social Security. Actually, some good news here that you might not know about. So click on that video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.